Hey, happy Crab Days. So in today's video, we are looking at the 3 units that were just announced for the global anniversary that's coming up on the February 25th Sugo Fest. So I haven't seen the units themselves. I did see announcement videos, so we do know there are 3 new legends in Garp and Coby, in Kuzan and Blackbeard, and then lastly Hibari from the sword unit that we have out there. So we'll see how each of them are. Personally, just looking at them, like, I'm not feeling too happy or thrilled about the Garp and Coby. Unfortunately, when they create units like this, they kind of combine them. You try to take different parts of both their kits and make one kind of unit out of that, but there's not really that many great Garps outside of the side Garp, for example, for PvP. And same thing for Coby. The only Coby I use on consistent basis is Strength Coby for PvP. So I don't have very high hopes for the Garp and Coby. But I do have a lot of high hopes for the Blackbeard and the Kuzan, just because 2 super popular characters. You know they're going to go hard, making them really awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that kit. They're probably the most anticipated out of the 3 that I am looking forward to pulling for. And then lastly, Hibari was kind of a right field for the Sugo Fest. When I first saw that, I was like, is this right? Like, really? Granted, I don't know how popular she is on the Japanese side of the fence or even on the English side of the fence here. I never really thought of her as a super popular character, so it was definitely an interesting choice to add her into the mix. So that being said, let's get into the units. Let's see what they do and see if any of these guys are going to be worth pulling. So we're going to do Garp and Coby first. So they are a fighter powerhouse unit, quick and dex. So obviously you're going to want to build teams around fighter and powerhouse. Let's see what their special does. So it reduces crew's special charge time by 1 turn. That's kind of underwhelming. Just 1 turn is pretty low. Makes me think that there'll be some kind of special rewind or something that will happen as part of the gimmicks of the upcoming event that will force you to have to use that special charge time reduction. Next, deals 300 times the character's attack and non-type damage to 1 enemy, ignoring all defensive effects. So again, it's great that you have a big hit, but the fact that it's only to 1 enemy is kind of a little bit detrimental. It would have been a lot better, I think, if it was to multiple enemies. So yeah, that's a little bit of a disappointment there. Reduces crew's despair duration by 7 turns. So that's pretty respectable. Like, anything like over 6 turns these days is pretty good, so can't really complain much about the despair. And then reduces the drastically reduced damage effect above a certain level on all enemies for 7 turns. Again, can't complain. Get 7 turns of reduction there, so definitely those 2 debuff removers are pretty good. And then lastly, if the crew has a type effect boost active when the special is activated, then you get these stupid attack boosts for the final tap, which are pretty much all useless. You don't really see that used very much. I mean, sometimes people use that for Kazunas, Super Boss Kazunas, to do the most damage, but usually you don't see them get used that often. So that's kind of a disappointment that you just get a little bit of a attack boost there. And if you don't have the type effect when you launch special, then basically it gives you one 3.25 for 3 turns, which is really good. That's actually a pretty good multiplier and pretty good amount of turns for getting the type effects if you don't already have it. So that part is actually relatively decent. If crew's end of turn HP healing status or added damage status has 5 or more turns remaining when the special is activated, further increases the type effect boost by 1.2. So just, will help bring up that 3.25 times 1.2. Just to help you get a bunch more type effect. Now, obviously, type effect isn't as great as slot effect or attack boost, so that is kind of the downside of that. But hey, at least they're giving you a little bit of something there, and then it gives you a territory fighter class to the field for 2 turns. Okay, so they want you to kind of build really, instead of just making fighter and powerhouse, they probably want you to more build fighter-based teams with this unit. And then you become Garp and Coby for 3 turns. So overall, there's some good parts about the special, like the ability to have 7 turns of reduction for some debuffs there, but don't really like the type effect boost. Don't like the 300 times to 1 single enemy, and not really a big fan of the only reducing the crew special charge time by 1. Kind of a disappointment there. Let's see what his actual captain ability does. So at the start of the quest, he reduces the crew's special charge time by 1 turn, switch effect use by 1. And then boost quick, dex type, and fighter powerhouse character's HP by 1.35, attack by 5.75. So I gripe all the time about this. At this point, we should be at 6 times kind of as the base, especially for units that are coming out as part of Anniversary. So a little disappointed that it's capped at the 5.75 there. But if you don't have those characters, he's a 4 times Rainbow booster if you don't have either a Dex or Quick Fighter or Powerhouse unit on your team. So when a Quick or Dex crewmate uses a special, reduces the switch effect by 1. So all these switch effects are telling me that this switch must be pretty brutal. The fact that they're giving a bunch of ways to reduce it means that it's probably going to be super high, like 5+, and it's going to be just a pain to have to do if you don't have like the full batch to help really reduce these switch effects here. So they boost the attack of the next final tap by 5%. I hate this additional buff so much. Up to 200%. Yeah, so that's kind of whatever. Like the switch effect part, the reducing the switch effect by 1 is cool. But yeah, the rest is just whatever. So if the final tap attack boost effect activates before the final battle, you can kind of accumulate to the end. Okay, so it's standard. We see on a bunch of other units as well, where it just carries over if you activate it early. And then at the start of the final battle, you get the final tap attack boost based on all the things that you've been added previously. Again, if you use the type effects, you get the 50%, and then you get 5% basically for every special that one of your Dex or Quick crewmates use. And then you get some additional effects based on the tags on the crew. So if you have a 4 more Egghead Arc or Navy, which should be pretty easy to satisfy, and the crew has attack or slot effect boost, it further increases the attack or slot effect boost by 1.1. Okay, like not terrible. Just kind of additional boost to attack or slot. And I like that it could be either or. So no matter which one you have, it'll just boost it by 1.1 times. So not terrible. So captain ability was okay. Not too shabby. Crewmate ability reduces crew special charge time by 1 at the start of the quest and reduces special reverse by 5. Okay, that means there'll probably be some content that's going to be doing special reverse as part of the event. And let's just go here to the Super Tandem Boost. So when activating Super Tandem Boost with the Navy Sword and Straw Hat or Egghead Arc characters, so at level 5, it just gives you the boost level 4 and up to 6 if you're Navy or Sword. So again, wouldn't waste tablets to get this guy Super Tandem Boost up high. I haven't seen a unit that really has that required yet for Super Tandem, so I would recommend just saving your Super Tandem tablets for a better unit down the road and not this guy. So they do have a super. All right, so let's see what the super does. So when you become Garp and Coby with the super switch effect, okay, so like a bunch of other characters, you have to have the super switch gauge fully charged when you do the swap, and that will get you the condition to get the super switch. And you need 2 or more other characters on the crew. So good amount of units here. Obviously, a lot of the sword members. You got a Kainu, you got a Aokiji, you got Kizaru. So yeah, Luffy, of course, Sabo. So there's a good amount of units here that I think it's going to be pretty easy to find a character, or find at least 2 characters that fit this, that fit that criteria there. So nothing kind of too crazy. And you can activate this as a crewmate. Okay, that's really good that you can actually activate the EX Super as a crewmate. So fighter to super fighter, powerhouse, super powerhouse. So 2 classes are good. Reduces all enemies damage reduction for certain slot effects by 2. This is an annoying debuff. Not much content has this damage reduction from certain slots, and that's just something that we'll probably have to deal with as part of the event. The good news, I guess, is that it's low by 2 turns, so I'm guessing that whatever enemies that we're going to be facing for this upcoming event won't have, a very high count of this debuff, so we don't have to kind of worry, hopefully, about it too much. There's a couple other units that help remove that debuff already, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal to get rid of that. And it also allows the type effect boost to be further increased up to 2 times. Okay, and then it reduces this character's special charge time by 10. All right, yeah, I mean, that's any EX Super that can reduce a special charge time by 10 is pretty good. Yeah, can't really complain. What's the cooldown? Do they have the cooldown listed here for it? 13. All right, so if you max limit break him, you can pretty much get your special back pretty easily to be able to kind of do double special launches, right? All right, so that is his EX Super. Again, not not terrible. It doesn't really do too many things outside of just really basically allowing you to get your special off again and then get the fighter and powerhouse to their super versions. So let's go into the super switch effect. How high? Let's see how high that super swap is. Does it mention how many swaps on here? I think it's gonna end up being. It's gonna be kind of high, right? 7. Okay, so yeah, that's a little bit high. Now I understand why I had all those debuffs, and when one of your decks or quick crewmates use their special, it reduces it by 1. It's gonna be really annoying to have to trigger this outside of this event at least. So that's a little bit disappointing. But yeah, I guess it kind of is what it is. So his super switch, actually let's do his regular switch first. So changes his character's slot, including block, so we like that, to the character's own type, like that. And boost the attack, does the stupid attack boost for the final tap. Okay, so basically it will give you for your own slot, it will give you matching slots for yourself. That's just okay. Not great at all, but yeah, let's see if the super switch is any better here. Again, just as this character slot, it would have been great if it could have at least done like adjacent characters or something. The fact that it's just this one character slot is a little bit annoying. Again, you just get a little bit higher boost for the final tap, and gives you a base attack boost of 300, which is just kind of whatever. And you get a 15% resistance for quicken decks. Yeah, I mean, the super switch just really isn't that great. You get the 50% increased damage, and you get matching slots for just you. Yeah, super switch is just really not where it's at. Switch effect was not good for this unit. So overall, from a PvE perspective, I'm not super impressed with what I'm seeing here. Usually when I look for these units, I try to find units that give something that other units can't do, right? Or they provide some utility that other units can't do. And I'm just not really seeing it from this character. And there's a lot of gimmicks you're going to have to do to get the character ready to go. So not really feeling this character so far for PvE. But let's see if we can do a little bit better on the PvP side of the fence. Maybe there's some redeeming qualities there. Immediately I look, and that is a really high Rumble special. That is a super high Rumble special. Wow. Okay. 31 CT. So when 6 or more powerhouse fighter characters are on the team, or when you have 5 or more Navy, then basically for yourself, you get attack up level 6, defense up level 6. That's okay. You get some attack and defense. That's fine for yourself. When 2 or more sword characters are on the team, target the team for 100% to remove attack down. Not a super popular debuff that you see. So again, don't really see too much use out of the attack down stuff. Yeah, some enemies will do it, but usually it's nothing like crazy. Like if it's like 4, 5, 6 attack down, it's not really the end of the world there. Targets enemies within a large range for 15,000 spread damage. So if there's 5 units on the field that are in the range of the special when it hits, then it'll do 3,000 basically to each unit. So yeah, not terrible. That's a good chunk. And then also targets enemies within a large range for attack times 15 spread damage. Ooh, okay. So that's 2 big nukes that he's basically going to be doing. Yeah, this guy's going to be pretty nasty, I think, from a damage point of view. Just looking at him, right? We have that new Rumble unit that just came out, the side unit that is a Navy character who does a bunch of debuffs and special CT speed, right? And could do haste and things like that, right? And then you have this guy go, and he's going to do basically a guaranteed 3,000 at least if there's 5 characters out there, and a 15 times their attack. That's going to be pretty crazy, I think. This could be pretty nuts to deal with in regular content there. So that's really interesting. We'll have to see how that ends up playing out eventually, but ultimately, like, I see that and I'm like, okay, now I can kind of understand why it's on a 31 cooldown. That makes a little bit more sense. So let's see what his actual super special does and see what the activation requirement is. Receives a Rumble special 3 times. Ooh, that's a lot of specials to have to tank to be able to get your super there. Yeah, that's pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty brutal to have to take 3 specials just to get your special going, but hey, I guess it is what it is. So he will give fighter powers class and Navy teammates attack up level 8, defense level 8. That's great. Love to see that's actually to all the crew and not just himself. When 2 or more SOAR members are on the team, targets team for 100% chance to remove attack down. Was it the pretty much the same here, right? It doesn't look any different than what's there, so pretty much the same there. Instead of doing the 15,000, you now do 25, which is much better. Goes up to a 5,000 cap, assuming you were able to get all 5 of the units on the field in that attack. And then attack times 25. Holy. Yeah, this guy is going to be, if you have this guy fully maxed out 150, he is going to be just an absolute menace to deal with, I think, in PvP. He's going to be hitting so hard. Wow, that's a lot of damage. And then you can evade CT. Ooh, that's actually a kind of a crazy one there. 100% chance to evade CT delay, right? There's a lot of units now that are doing the CT delay. Wow, that's really good to be able to avoid. Like I said, it's pretty tough to activate the special. It's going to take a lot of time probably to get 3 Rumble specials done to the unit, or hope that maybe you have an opponent who does a lot of wide arcing damage to get that. But if you can get it, like, that's going to be pretty nuts with the amount of damage you can do, and then being able to evade special CT is just kind of crazy. So yeah, actually really like his Rumble special and his Super special. They're both really good. Like I said, I wish this was more like 2 times if you got him to 150, but I can see why they're keeping 3, because that's a pretty crazy nuke that he'll be doing there. Just a standard Rumble ability that gives to everyone. So fighter powerhouse and Navy teammates HP up 6, speed up 6, defense up 4. And guard up level 5, so just a bunch of stat increases for your whole team. Like to see that. And when you have 6 or more fighter powerhouse characters on the team, or when 5 or more Navy are on the team, when the character is KO'd, he auto activates his special. Okay, now I see why they might have done 3, right? Because he most units could probably, if you have a good defense, you could probably tank at least 2 hits from specials. But the fact that he can come back, that he activates this when he dies, is pretty awesome. So yeah, you're gonna be doing a lot of damage, even if you can't get that super special there. You're gonna be doing a lot of damage. I thought originally when I was reading it that he might have got a revive, but he doesn't. So again, now that I think about it a little bit more, I still think 3 is high, since he doesn't get a revive. But still, the fact that you're pretty much guaranteed at least 1 time per battle to get off of 15,000 attack and attack times 15 spread damage, that's pretty decent. So yeah, overall he's like, I would say he's probably like a minus in PvP and probably like a B in PvE. So again, I think people who pull for him will mostly be using him on the PvP side of the fence. All right, so that being said, let's go on to who I'm hoping is amazing and blows me away, the Blackbeard and Kuzan unit. So let's take a quick look here. They are int dex driven shooter, so that's who the kind of teams you're going to want to be building there. So let's see what their special does. Drinking Together. Reduces cruise paralysis duration by 10 turns. Love that. That's pretty awesome. Any buffs greater than 6 in this meta is pretty good. So 10 is awesome. We'll take it. Boost Dex, Int Type, and Driven Shooter classes character attack by 2.75 for 1 turn. And you can boost it further, which is pretty awesome. Its special is used when the crew's HP is at 50% or lower, or when the crew has HP guard. Okay, so 2 conditions that you can use to activate. Dex, Int Type, and Driven Shooter character slot effects gives them slot effects 3.5 for 3 turns. So really good, actually. That's a pretty good multiplier, and again, for 3 turns is really good. So their special is already looking much better than Coby and Garp so far. When 3 or more Blackbeards are on the crew, or 6 or more Egghead are on the crew, activates the HP guard of 85% for 1 turn. side rant. I really wish that they wouldn't do like these 85 or 75. Like if it's a legend character, just make it like 95 or 100. Like why are we doing just 85%? So he ends up giving the HP guard, and then he boosts the crew's attack based on the damage reduction effect applied to the enemy for 1 turn. All right, so you want to basically have the enemy get the rainbow shield, and then depending on what the rainbow shield they have is, you can do more damage there. So they gave you an example here. Base effect is 1.7. If they have 3% damage reduction, that's basically a 0.5 increase there, which brings that 1.7 up to 2.2. And then become Blackbeard and Kuzan. So pretty good special. They do have a Sugo Rush, I believe, which is why that HP guard is super critical for getting them and being able to use it, so you can kind of get the most out of it and not have to worry about dying as part of the Sugo Rush. But again, it would be nicer if they had a little bit higher than 85%, just so you'd have less to worry about for the Sugo Rush HP remaining after that. So, like their special so far, can't really have too much complaints about that. It would have been so far we have a slot effect boost, a type effect boost, but we don't have an attack boost. So I'm wondering if the third unit will have the attack boost as part of their kit. We'll have to see how that all plays out. All right, so let's see what the captain ability does here. So boost dex, int, type, and driven shooters characters by HP by 1.5 and attack by 4.75. Okay, I mean that seems kind of low. But let's see what's going on. And then they also boost dex, int, type, and driven shooter characters attack by approximately 5.75 when they have recovery, tandem, empty, bomb, or super bomb slots. Okay, so default is 4.75, but if you have any of those special slots that they mentioned there, you can get it up to 5.75. Still, again, should be 6 times. Like, what are we doing, guys? But and the fact that you have to have like different slots is just a really painful gimmick that's there, right? Especially if, for example, if you have like the Garp and Coby that you're using, right? Like you get like matching slots and things like that for yourself, right? Not any of these kind of special slots. So not a big fan of that part of the captain ability so far, unless their kit has a way to give them these slots, but I don't think from anything we saw in the special, there's no slot change that happen here. So I think it's going to be pretty difficult to get all your slots to these type unless an enemy does that as part of the preemptive attacks or something like that. So, yeah, a little bit of a pain there. But they do make int, dex, tandem, and bomb slots have matching slot effects. So I guess that part is pretty good. So if I had to guess, I'm guessing that the boss in the upcoming event that we have there will give you either tandem or bomb slots as part of their gimmicks, and that's how they'll have you kind of get around that 4.75 attack. Yeah, again, I'm not gonna rant on it, but not the greatest to have those kind of different slot types to get the 5.75. Then they do have some effects based on the crew tags on your character. So we have 3 or more Blackbeard pirates are on the crew, or 6 or more Edhig Arc units are on the crew. If the crew has a damage reduction, when the special is activated, change it into an effect that further boosts crew's attack by 2 times, up to a 6 times attack boost. All right, so yeah, I was saying that they had the ability to get the slot effects there, right? But they didn't have a way to get an attack boost, so this is kind of their way. It looks like of being able to get that attack boost there. Granted, actually, you have to actually have the attack boost. It doesn't actually give you one. All right, so that's the tricky part there is it'll boost your current attack boost by 2 times, but it doesn't actually give you an attack boost. And he doesn't have anything on his kit that it looks like will give that attack boost. Oh, sorry, there is something here. If no, never mind. Sorry, the only way to get the attack boost is if the enemy has the damage reduction. So no way to give himself the attack boost, but if the enemy has the damage reduction and you use the special, then you'll get the attack boost, and then the captain ability will kick in and basically double that amount there. So that's interesting. Again, it's kind of a weird workaround because he doesn't have a way to give himself the attack boost without giving the enemy the rainbow shield there to and then hitting the special. So kind of interesting how they did that. So he can give himself an attack boost, a conditional attack boost, and a slot boost. And then when 5 or more Blackbeard pirates are on the crew, arouse the normal attacks to ignore enemies' defense. That's awesome. I love any units that let you hit through defense are always awesome. So yeah, love that that's part of his captain ability there. So they do have individual captain abilities. Let me just take a quick look. I doubt there's anything really too crazy here. He does reduce some switch effects as part of Blackbeard. Most other stuff here looks like it remains pretty much the same. Yeah, not seeing really a ton of differences here. Just obviously lower amounts than when they're the combined character there. So nothing kind of too crazy. Like I said, Blackbeard had the additional ability to reduce the crew's switch effects by 2 and reduce the Blackbeard character's special charge time by 2. Again, Kuzan gets that same ability, but he only gives the special charge reduction to himself, not his whole crew. So depending on who you're using, you probably want to look at what team you're kind of building to get the most effects out of there. In terms of his crewmate ability, he boosts Dex Int-type characters' base attack by 1.1, so just a 10% attack boost. Reduces crew's special charge time by 1 turn at the start of the quest. Okay, I mean, that's okay. Yeah, nothing to really complain about there. Both abilities are pretty good. So at level 5 for his Rush Sugo, again, you just can get multiplier boost and you get the attack boost of 1.8. So again, the HP card is going to help you get the most damage out of this. So you want to make sure that you have the HP card active when you kick off that Rush Sugo. He does have an EX Super. So when you become Blackbeard and Kuzan with the Super Switch, let's see how many turns to do his Super Switch. Let's take a quick look here. All right. A little bit lower at 6. Garp had a lot of ways to reduce that switch time. I haven't seen too many for this character, so that's a little interesting. But like again, it just means there'll be a little bit of stalling to try to get it activated. So when you become Blackbeard and Kuzan with the super switch effect, and the crew's HP is 50% or below, and it can be used as a crewmate, which is always great. Changes Dex characters to Super Dex into Super Int. Reduces damage reduction effect on all enemies by 40%. So, again, that will just help you get that attack boost, right? If it gives you that example that you saw up there, it'll be the 1.7 base plus the 0.4. Give you basically a 2.1 times attack boost, and then double that because of the captain ability effect, and you'll get like a 4 times attack boost, which is pretty cool. And then just give some additional damage with this stupid final tap additional damage stuff that's there. So the super is pretty good. Can't really complain too much about the super. It gives you a way to get that attack boost, which is awesome. Let's check out his switch effect real quick, see what it can do. Again, we'll start off with just a normal version. So it gets rid of slot bind, and you give matching slots, which is interesting because it will obviously not give you the full attack boost if you don't have those 4 or 5 random slot types that are there. So you won't get the full 5.75. You'll just get the 4.75. So that's kind of a bummer there. Reduces crew's paralysis duration by 1. Okay. I guess that's okay. Like, that's not terrible. Yeah, not terrible. And then boosts character's attack by 1.5 for 1 turn, and you can overwrite that. And no ability has the ability to ignore defensive effects. Pretty good. Yeah. So ultimately, like, his switch effect isn't bad. Again, it would be nice if the paralysis was a little bit higher, just selfishly. But obviously that will probably change in his super switch. So again, for his super switch, completely removes bind, gives himself his own slot. Crew's paralysis by 3. See, that's great. That's really good. Can't complain at all with that ability there. And then boost crew's attack by 2 times for 1 turn. You can overwrite it with your own boost there, and you can again ignore defensive effects for 1 turn. So the super switch is really good. Like that, getting rid of 3 turns of paralysis for the whole crew is really, really, really good. All right, so that's his PvE. So before we get into the PvP stuff, like I would say, I would probably rate him. I would say like a B plus on the PvE side of the fence. I think he's better than Garp and Coby. Not a ton, but and like I said, I don't think that he's gonna be a crazy meta unit that you'll see like on everyone's team for the next like 6 months. I just don't really see that happening. But he's definitely better than Garp and Coby, so I'm probably gonna give him a B+ on that. So let's get into PvP now, see what he can do there. So he is on a 28 CT, which is a little bit lower. Good to see that. Targets 3 enemies for 100% chance of recovery bind. Okay, and targets enemies recovery bind for attack down. That's like recovery bind isn't really a gimmick that we have to worry about too much for units. Like it's not like, oh my god, these units are healing so much, like we can't stop them. So it's just a weird choice to focus on that recovery bind for the first ability there. Targets enemies with special bind status for 100% chance of action bind. Okay, again, not. I mean, I know they could do like normal attacks, I guess, if they were special bound for the time, and you'd stop that. But again, not seeing like a ton of value there. And then targets enemies with the shield for special CT % delay and 6,000 damage. So I'm trying to think of like where would this be really useful, right? So there's not a ton of units that provide like shields, especially like shields for the whole team, right? Like you have like Strength Coby will give that if he's below 50% HP, right? You have Pika who can do some limited stuff there. Walkery I think can do some stuff. Zoraluchi I think can do some stuff, but there's not like a ton of units that give shield for a good chunk of the team where you want to really do that ton of additional damage. So it's kind of a weird one that they want you to have to somehow deal with that. Interesting choice, I guess. Unless they release some units that come out in the future that gives more shield. Like I don't know. It just kind of doesn't seem very conjoined or there's not a lot of good synergy there so far in his Rumble special. So he targets enemies with the confusion status for attack times 5 spread damage. So I'm assuming they would want you to use a unit like Katarina Devon, right? The one that just came out like 2 months ago and was in the Head Start Sugofest, right, as a playable character there. Like, I know that unit can give confusion to just a couple units, but there's not really like a ton of units out there who can give confusion at like a much bigger scale. So again, I don't know how much you'll be able to use that to really do a ton of damage against people. And it's only attack times 5, so again, even that multiplier is pretty small when you look at what Garp or Coby can do. All right, targets enemies within a large range for attack times 3 damage. It's okay. I mean, it's a damage hit. It's okay. Nothing kind of too crazy. So far, I'm not really impressed with the Rumble special. Let's see what it looks like at level 5. Receives damage 3 times. That's really easy. That should be no problem at all to trigger, which means that you'll be able to kind of get the full effects here. Again, some recovery bind debuffs, but again, that's not really like a prevalent stuff. Again, you just get some more time for action bind. Again, just higher CT delay for the units that have the shields. A little bit higher spread damage from attack times 5 to attack times 7. A little bit higher attack here. Instead of 3, it's 4. And then targets enemies with paralysis status for attack times 10. There's not a ton of units that do paralysis, like, to a bunch of units, right? Like, you have Dex Kaido, who could kind of do that. Pika, I think, can do it. Dofi Crocodile, I think, can do some limited paralysis, but there's just not a ton of units that are driven focused that will be able to get you the ability to do that times 10 damage to all the units that are out there. So again, just the Rumble special just isn't really that great. If you can get all these conditions, yeah, you'll absolutely destroy people, but to get all those different conditions is going to be really hard to do. So yeah, kind of disappointed in the Rumble special there. Now in the Rumble ability, he can target Shriven class and Blackbeard Pirates teammates for defense up level 6, targets enemies for HP down level 7. So just some debuffing, that's always good to see, and also gives your own team some defense. And with 5 or more driven characters on the team, targets all enemies for special CT down level 3. again, that's awesome. Anytime you can stop the enemy from going, that's great. And then when 4 more Blackbeard Pirates are on the team, it targets the character for attack level 8. And then when 4 more Blackbeard Pirates are on the team, targets all enemies for defense down. So just the ability to buff yourself more and debuff your enemies. So overall, like, his PvP kit, like, is probably like a B. I would say he's kind of like the inverse of Garp, where Garp is real good for PvP, really bad for PvE. And this guy should be pretty good for PvE, but not really that great for PvP. So, yeah, Blackbeard's still, I think, who I prefer out of the 2 units, or who I'm still going for, just because I like that unit. But that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at Hibari and see if she can help complement either the Garp or Coby or the Blackbeard Kuzan. So as we look at this unit, I'm pretty sure they're going to be used mostly to support Coby and Garp, but let's take a gander here. So she's a Dex shooter and fighter. So again, will kind of works with the Garp and the Coby. So let's see her special. Reduces the damage reduction effect on enemies for 7 turns. Again, pretty awesome. Above 6, so really can't complain about that damage reduction. Reduces attack down by 7. Again, pretty good. Increases damage taken by 2.5. It doesn't go through immunity. That's probably the only bad part about that, but increased damage is always good. And then when 4 more Navy are on the crew, inflicting increased damage taken with the special ignores. Okay, so if you have 4 more Navy, which shouldn't be that hard to do, then basically that increased damage taken goes through the immunity, which is awesome. So pretty good so far. Really impressed with the unit. If special is activated when the crew's end of turn HP healing status has 5 to 9. I hate this gimmick of the whole crew's end of turn HP stuff. I've hated it since it originally came out with Garp, and I still hate it here. So if you have 5 to 9 turns remaining, you basically get a type boost and a slot effect boost of 0.3. Yeah, it's just the HP stealing status is just a pain to get enabled. But if you can get enabled, you get that little additional buff there. If you have 10 turns or more remaining, then basically you get an attack boost of 1.5 times, up to 8 times total. You get a heal and reduces the end of turn healing status by 3 turns. Interesting. I'm not sure why it reduces it by 3 turns, unless there's something further in her kit that lets you reactivate the special second time, because then you can maybe activate it when it's above 10, and then maybe when it's in between this 5 to 9 to get the additional effects there. But we'll have to see if there's anything else kind of listed there. Captain ability. Reduces crew switch effect used by 4. Okay, that's huge, right? Because both Coby and Garp have pretty high switch effects, as well as the Kuzan and the Blackbeard, but I'm not really sure you'd use this on their team so far, but still, the ability to reduce switch effect is good. Definitely like that. Boost Dex, type, and shooter fighter characters attack by 5.25. Again, a little bit lower, which is to be expected for these legends. Would like to see it be 5.5 times attack, and maybe instead of recovery, do HP, since she already has recovery as part of her kit. If crew uses special to activate an effect for increased damage taken to enemies with a specific status effect, further boosts the attack by 0.25, which is stackable. Again, awesome, just helps give that increased damage. And then lastly, if the Coby is a crewmate and uses a special, applies the set target status. That's really good. Okay, so she can both give increased damage through immunity, assuming she has at least 4 Navy characters, and then she also does the set target status, and that's through immunity as well. So yeah, that's pretty good. That's really good. Yeah, can't really complain much at all. Gonna help just really get that damage output really going for this team. And then depending on what cruise tags you have, you can get either an attack boost of basically 20% there, or you can reduce the Navy and Sword character special charge time by 3 turns at the start of the quest. Yeah, pretty good, right? And I'm guessing because I believe the special charge time of Garp and Coby, if I remember right, was 13, right? So the super switch effect does 10. So if you have the 10 plus the ability to do the 3 from here, you can basically have their special ready to go, using the EX super of the Garp and Coby to make sure that you're able to get that special off. So you can kind of see how they really want this unit to work with the Garp and Coby. Makes sense. She's a sword member. Let's see the ability here. Tandem slots are matching and boost dex type and shooter fighter class characters base stat. Okay, base stats are just whatever. And then you get 800 HP heal at the end of the turn. Yeah, crewmate ability is just okay. Nothing to write home about. Super tandem. So when one or more characters are on the crew, so obviously that's pretty awesome. You just need one. And there's a good amount of variety there. You can basically get a 2.25 a tandem attack boost, and you can also get increase of 0.2 to your damage as well. So it's an okay super tandem. Nothing too crazy. Probably wouldn't waste tablets maxing this out. But yeah, it's okay. It's serviceable. It's not a base stats type super tandem. So we'll definitely take that. So she does have a super type as well. It can be activated as a crewmate, which is really good. Again, you just need 2 or more of the characters on the crew. A good amount of different options that are out there again. So good like to see that. And the super type will change dex to super dex. You can remove the captain swap. That's always a good ability to have to get rid of, especially if there's bosses that are swapping your captains. Further boosts crew's chain multiplier growth rate by 0.2, gives you a little bit extra damage, and then boost chain multiplier by 1.2. So really that's an additive 1.2 there. Gives you a tandem slot, so you can help activate that super tandem, and extends the cruise. And okay, so this is why they want to take 3 away. So basically you could take 3 away and then add 3 back. And then also gives the end of turn healing of 5 turns, right? So she can kind of help self proc her own special here, where you're able to get the additional type effect boost and slot effect boost if it has 5 to 9 turns remaining, right? Because she can give 5 turns herself with just her super type. So you can kind of see how they want you to use that. Support effects, kind of weird, just goes on Coby, just gives you a little bit extra of the end of turn healing status duration, and actually gets rid of attack down by 2 turns is pretty cool. And it's a crew's attack down, not just that character. So that could have some small uses there. So not like a terrible support effect, but the fact that it only can go on Coby makes it pretty hard to be usable. All right, so let's see. So overall, I think from a PvE perspective, I would probably rank her. I would say like A minus, B plus. I think she's. It's tough for me to say she's better than Blackbeard and Kuzan, but I kind of feel like she maybe is. Actually, I think I'm gonna keep her with a B plus there. Yeah, I think it's about A minus. I think she's probably more in the B plus category. So let's keep her there. Again, can do a bunch of stuff with the increased damage and the set target status. Going to help you do just a ton of damage. But yeah, I don't know if she falls into that A tier category there. So we'll give her a B plus for her PvE abilities. For PvP, let's see what happens. So Rumble Special is on a 28 cooldown. So you get some attack up. You get a bunch of debuffs, half attack, half defense, half speed to a bunch of different enemy types there. If you have 5 or more fighters or 5 or more navy, you get confusion to shooters. So shooters just getting beat again, right? That's always good to take out that shooter team whenever you see them. It is only 10 seconds, so it's not like crazy. And again, 80% is high, but maybe 100% would have been a little bit better. For Assault Rumble, she targets self for special CT 30% reduction. Okay, so this is how they're trying to bait you to pull this unit, right? If you really like to go hard on Assault Rumble, having that special CT reduction of 30% is really huge. So yeah, I could see people who are really into that game mode definitely want to pull this unit just for that ability itself. And then when 3 or more sword characters on the team, targets all enemies for 3k fixed damage and switches character with the first sub character. Is this the first unit that switches with subs? I think it is, right? I can't remember any off the top of my head. We can actually switch with the backbench characters, which is really interesting. So you do damage, switch. Now, the weird part is if you do that, then the unit will come out with 0 charge time to their special. So that's a little bit weird, I guess. So we'll have to see how that ends up playing out. But bunch of debuffs and the ability to do confusion, but just to shooters, is interesting, I guess, in some ways. But nothing too broken so far in the Rumble Special. Let's see what happens if you get up to level 5. You have to take a Rumble Special 2 times. Again, this is what Blackbeard, I think, should have had 2 on his. Not Blackbeard. What Garp should have had on his, because Garp had it as 3. So it's a little weird that Garp has to be 3, but this unit only has to have 2. Make it make sense. But you get an attack up for your team. Again, a bunch more debuffs for the different stats you see there. Okay, so that's where you get the 100% chance of confusion. Okay, so yeah, the Super Rumble will give you the 100% chance of confusion for shooter class enemies. Ooh, 50% CT reduction during Assault Rumble. That's crazy. Yeah, that's really crazy. That means this unit's going to just keep popping off. So that's really good for Assault Rumble. And then you get 5,000 damage and can swap again with a character on the backbench. So, yeah, I mean, overall the debuffs are okay. If it shouldn't be that hard to activate the super special. So, I guess maybe because you only have to take 2 Rumble specials, I would probably say that puts the value of this unit up a little bit higher on the PvP chain. So yeah, let's just see what the Rumble ability is, and then we'll give an overall score for that. So Rumble ability targets Dex type, fighter class, and Navy teammates for HP up level 7. All right, so more HP is always good. The enemy gets HP down level 5, which is good. So when you have 5 or more fighter or Navy units on the team, you basically give another defense down, or give a defense down level 4, some CT speed reduction. It's only level 2, so it's not too high. And when 3 or more sword characters are on the team, targets all enemies for 30% delay. That's really good. Wow, that's gonna be really good. Yeah. So now I see if you have. So I think the idea here with the switching would be to have 2 sword members on the front bench, have 1 waiting in the back. Actually, no, that wouldn't work, because then if you swapped out with the sub, then that wouldn't quite work. You would still have the same amount of sword units there. So yeah, I mean, just a special delay is good. I was trying to think of maybe if they wanted you to do some kind of swapping mechanism where you had a sword member in the backbench and you swapped, and then suddenly you'd have 3 on there. But yeah, I don't think that would quite work. But still, that special C delay is pretty good. So I think from a PvP perspective, she's definitely not on the same level as Garp. So I'd probably give her like I want to say like a B plus, just because she has a lot of debuffing stuff. So she's a pretty good debuffer. And like I said, you should be able to get her Super Rumble ability off pretty well. So if you're fighting shooters, that'll be really good. If you're doing Assault Rumble, that'll be really good. So yeah, I'm gonna say I think her PvE kit is a little bit better than her PvP kit, but I would say that I'd still give the PvP probably a B plus. So that's just my initial thoughts and run throughs of these units. I am probably going to pull, at least for the Blackbeard and Kuzan. I have enough where I could probably pull for 2 guaranteed if I had to. Obviously, I don't want to do that. So we'll see. I'll do some pulls probably for Blackbeard and Kuzan. And then we'll kind of go from there and see what happens. And this is, I believe, only the first half of the celebration is 2, which means there's going to be some more units coming out a little bit later. They'll probably try to bait people into getting, spending all the gems now, and then they'll release like a really crazy unit on the second half. So just kind of waiting to see how that's all going to shake out, and we'll kind of go from there. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video and liked the analysis, make sure you like and subscribe. Again, sorry this video was a bit delayed. Unfortunately, we got about 36 inches of snow over here, and I don't have a snowblower, so it took me quite a lot of time to get that all cleared away, make sure we get out of the driveways and all that fun stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching, for being patient with me dealing with the snow, and as always, until next time, be kind to each other. Thanks.